The upcoming patch, releasing with Total War 3 Kingdoms A World Betrayed DLC, is packed with a lot of new and reworked content. With free LC bandit leader Yan Baihu entering the game, it's time to look at another part of this patch that has received a lot of attention, the Bandit Factions. This rework is pretty extensive, so let's dive right on in. The Bandit Network is one of the most unique changes coming about with the patch, and it has got to be one of the best highlights in it. Bandits no longer develop via scholarly research. Now it is dependent on establishing connections and alliances throughout various sympathizers and groups on the map, represented by the tech nodes you see here. Each node has its own turn cost to research, unlike the traditional Han method of unlocking a new tech every spring. What makes this even more interesting is that should you own the region of a tech that you are going to research, you will receive a big boost research rate for said tech. This allows for two kind of styles of play. You can either simply focus on expansion first and then research the corresponding technology, or you can take some time to set your path of expansion that will follow the tech branch you want to do. Since the Bandit Factions start with their unique roster and have unit caps, techs will almost always unlock new units they can recruit from traditional rosters or increase the limit of certain recruitable units. To begin the bandit building section, bandits have a new source of income and food called banditry. Banditry is primarily generated by buildings. Bandits now have some redesigned unique bandit buildings to help reinforce their banditry ways and really set them apart from the Han Empire factions. In major settlements, there's a big reduction in building options in all sections of the city. The idea behind this is that as a bandit, there's an emphasis on building armies for raids rather than trying to develop a major intellectual city. In minor settlements, bandit factions will get variants of existing buildings that create different effects, further distancing themselves from the Han factions. On top of that, every minor settlement is able to have a secondary building slot dedicated to one of the bandit building chains. Black Market gives additional banditry income. Mustering Grounds grants a boost to replenishment at the expense of public order. Preparatory Camp provides an increase to research rate and increased cover gain for spies. And Food Tents boost population growth, public order, and loot gain, which we will address next. There is one additional building chain unique to free LC Lord Yan Baihu, and it's the Xiang Yu Camp, which increases food production while also allowing you to recruit even more Yi tribesmen units. Buildings are not the only things changing up for bandits. Bandit armies no longer use supplies, instead they now use loot, and it's quite different from traditional supplies. First, loot is gained while in enemy territory only, and is actually lost in your own territory. There are two stances unique to bandits that directly affect the amount of loot in your army. Raiding stance generates loot for the army, depletes an enemy's supplies while also massively decreasing public order in the enemy's commandery. Share the Spoils rapidly depletes loot in your army, but greatly increases the reserves in the local commandery on top of a massive boost to food and income from banditry. If that wasn't enough, you'll also get a 25% increase in replenishment. Do note that replenishment can still only occur in friendly territory, and I assume that the increase in banditry food and income would also occur in another bandit territory you use that stance in, though I can't really confirm that. To wrap up loot and spoils, there are benefits and negatives to having full loot and no loot. Having full loot increases your prestige, but at the cost of a decent percentage drop in campaign movement range. After all, your army is loaded down with some goodies. No loot, however, will see some major character dissatisfaction and big public order penalties in the local commandery. At this point, your bandits are desperate, and they'll gain the scare trait due to that desperation, and their willingness to gain loot at all costs will allow a 25% increase in campaign movement range. Moving right along, we will quickly address the bandit court and rank progression. The rank progression has some new titles, as you can see from the screen, though I do believe they all have the same benefits as before. The court has also seen a revamp in titles, including the heir position, which is now next in line, that no longer requires a family member to fill it. Each standard court spot has been renamed, and their effects do fall more in line with the overall bandit design. Both taxes and public order mechanics are different for bandits now as well. For taxes, it's choosing between your armies and your characters. Increasing taxes wrecks character satisfaction and increases their salary, but you do get a sizable reduction in retinue upkeep and an increase in morale. The exact opposite effects happen when you decrease taxes. Satisfaction goes up, but so does the upkeep of your armies, and you see a decrease in army morale. Public order is a little wonky in its effects when I first looked at it, but you do have to remember that we are dealing with the concept of banditry and its obviously negative connotations. When public order is high, you get boost to public growth across the entire commandery, yet a reduction in banditry income and replenishment. Negative public order reduces public population growth, but also reduces recruitment costs and increases replenishment. The closest comparison I can think of is good old Tortuga from Pirates of the Caribbean. Public order there is none, but you can sure find some cheap labor and replenish your crew in a heartbeat. Last but certainly not least are Mercenary Contracts, and this one is a game changer for Bandit Factions. As a quick side note here, Lu Bu can also take these on, as well as any Bandit faction. Mercenary Contracts allow you to become mercenaries for any non-vassal faction for 20 turns against the contractor's choice, providing you are not already at war with the faction desired. During these 20 turns, you are granted share vision with your employer, military access to their lands, and able to replenish in their territory. Once accepted, the Mercenary Contract bar will pop up, showing the target faction, how many turns are left, and the amount of fame and fortune progress you've made during the contract. You gain fame and fortune by fighting the target faction or gifting conquered target faction lands to their employer. Earning a lot of fame and fortune will increase the chance that a reward dilemma will trigger, gaining the Bandit faction legendary gear or maybe other benefits. As your progress bar increases, your armies will also receive a morale boost during the remainder of the contract, assuming your progress bar stays at that level. Fame and fortune does decay slowly, and should it reach 0, a hefty diplomacy penalty will be incurred and the contract will be considered broken. There are a host of diplomatic actions that can be taken during a mercenary contract, such as being able to switch sides of a contracted war, meaning that if I'm going after Lu Bu, he could haggle with me and then have me turn on my employer Cao Cao if I wanted to. Should the employer make peace with the target, it is possible that the Bandit faction can take peace or continue the war if things are going well for them. And as a mercenary, it's entirely possible to make peace with your target, though that will break the contract immediately, not to mention cause some diplomacy and respect issues with the previous employer. Overall, the Bandit system is one of the most redesigned in the game thus far, and it makes Bandit factions significantly more unique and interesting to play. I am absolutely loving my Yan Baihu campaign, and the new mechanics are making it much harder to gain a leg up against the Han factions, but I believe that's the point, and it's that distinction and dedication to creating a new playstyle that has me wanting to try out all of the Bandit factions in 3 kingdoms. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to let me know in the comments section and subscribe to the channel for more videos like it. As we get closer to release, be on the lookout for my upcoming review on the DLC specifically, so you can make an informed decision for yourself. Thanks for watching, this is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next video.